Hey yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So as you guys already know, FIREBASE Z, the brand new zombies map, the first zombies map that has dropped as DLC for Black Ops Cold War, is out right now and you can play it. And yeah, and I've actually had a pretty good game on it. I have gone up to like round 50 and stuff like that. I've played it like a few times and stuff like that. I plan on actually streaming some zombies, like maybe some high rounds and stuff like that, and maybe doing the Easter egg when it is unlocked and stuff like that. That's kind of what I plan on doing, to provide content for you guys and stuff like that. I won't be really making zombies content. I mostly will just be live streaming it occasionally here or there and stuff like that, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so I thought I would make a pros and cons list of this map and kind of just give my thoughts and opinions about it. Now, this video would be a lot more important, obviously, if you had to buy the map, but since you just need to own Cold War, you basically get it for free, which is really cool. I really like how they're doing this now. This is the first free zombies map that you get post-launch of the game, which is kind of cool. So yeah, anyways guys, let's get right into it. So the pros of FIREBASE Z. The first thing is, compared to Die Maschine, this is a lot bigger of a map. Die Maschine was a fairly small and simple map, which is kind of good for a good first map, but then, you know, once you kind of get to the other maps, they should be a little bit more complicated. So I'm really glad that FIREBASE Z is a lot bigger of a map, and stuff like that. Some people might think that's a problem, but you actually do have different launch pads that you can go on. I believe there are like 6 around the map, and you can fly around to pretty much any location that you need to. So I don't think the map being bigger is a problem at all. Also, the Ray K, the new wonder weapon, is amazing. It is so much fun to use, where it like you take like its charge shot and then you eventually shoot that little like shot that you did, and then eventually it gets bigger and bigger and it blows up the zombies. It is super fun to use. I think it's a lot more fun to use than the Die Machine. I think the Die Machine's kind of useless, it seems, because I mean there's really no point of using the Die Machine, only like if you're just doing the Easter egg and stuff like that, well, you have to use it. But you know, for high rounds on Die Maschine, people only use the ray gun. So on FIREBASE Z, you know, you have to use the Ray K, and I don't think the ray gun actually is in FIREBASE Z. I've not seen it in the box, and I don't think I've seen anyone use it, and I'm kind of glad, because I mean technically the Ray K is like the ray gun and the AK-47 combined together and stuff like that. So yeah, but I'm super excited that they have this new wonder weapon that's so much fun to use. I was a little bit skeptical of it because, you know, it kind of looked a little bit boring at first. It's just an AK-47, but you know, just like more like a wonder weapon type, you know. But yeah, I'm glad it is good and fun to use. There are also new boss zombies, so you have the Mimic and as well as the Mangler. The Mangler isn't really new. It's, you know, it was from Grod Krovi, but now it is put into this map, and I think that they're alright. You know, there is no like main boss like the Megaton that spawns in and stuff, except for the wave rounds, which we're gonna get to later. And yeah, and I believe that I think that these new bosses are pretty cool. I don't like, you know, like I don't think they're bad. I think they're okay. The map is fun. That's probably like one of the biggest things. The map is extremely fun to play. I have a lot of fun playing it, and I want to play a lot more. I really want to get to round 100 on it, because I've never gone to round 100 on a zombies map. I probably could if I actually wanted to, and now I think like I really actually want to grind for it and try to get to round 100. It's a little bit tough on FIREBASE Z compared to Die Maschine, because on Die Maschine you can just camp with the ray gun, or you know, you can train around with the War Machine, which is pretty easy to do and stuff like that. But with this map, it's a little bit complicated because this map doesn't have any camping spots, or at least that we know of. Maybe there could be one that could be found. I doubt it though. It's mostly a map that is used for training and stuff like that. Also, the map is a little bit more complicated. For example, when getting the Ray K, besides getting it out of the mystery box, you can actually build it, and in order to build it, it is a lot more complicated compared to the Die Machine. With the Die Machine, you basically just had to kill the first Megaton that spawns in, kill like the 2 bombers, and you pick up like a key card. You take that key card over to like the Deadshot Daiquiri area, and then you get this Die Machine like remote, and then you bring it over to the Knocked room, and then you just activate it, let it kill some zombies, and then boom, you have the Die Machine. But with this, it's a lot more complicated, that you actually have to wait until like at least round 15. Actually, no. You can get the first Mangler, which drops apart at round 15, and you can basically get the Reiki earliest as like round 17. But with the Die Machine, you can basically get it on like round 8 or something. So yeah, I like this a lot more. It's a lot more complicated. It's a lot more what I'm used to in zombies. So yeah. There's also new score streaks added, where we have the Napalm Strike, the Artillery, and also the Cluster Strike, or the Cruise Missile, I mean. The Cruise Missile is so much fun to use, and I think it's a lot better than the Chopper Gunner, and I think it's way better to use in terms of getting to high rounds, because if you're ever cornered, Cluster Strike, well, the Cruise Missile, I don't know if I keep on calling it the Cluster Strike. The Cruise Missile is just really good to use, so yeah. I'm glad that they added it, and I hope it continues to be in more maps. So yeah. As I touched on before, there are new wave rounds which occur every 10 rounds, and also there is a mini boss called Orda. Now Orda, it first spawns in on the first wave round of round 30-ish. So it's this giant boss that looks really intimidating. It's not too hard to beat though. You can take it out with some streaks, and also if you have the Reiki, it's super easy to take out. Well, not super easy, but you know, it is easier to take out and stuff like that. But it's just so much fun to have these wave rounds. When I first saw this, I was a little bit scared, because I was like, well, this seems kind of annoying, because, you know, taking time out of like, you know, your training session and stuff like that, and what you're doing to just go and do this really quick kind of can be annoying and stuff like that. But it is fun, and it's a cool mix-up to the map that I think is really important. And as I've mentioned, like kind of throughout this entire thing, it's a big step up compared to the Die Machina. I think that Die Machina is really good on its own for what it is, and then FIREBASE Z is basically the upgrade to Die Machina, and that it just pretty much acts like it builds upon it and gets a little bit more complicated. The next map is probably going to be not as a big of a step up, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated, I would assume. And yeah. Now, I only have 2 main cons. I don't really think there's anything else too bad with the map. The first thing is, and probably the most disappointing, is that Tombstone, or basically Who's Whomstone, not my joke, but I saw it on a YouTube comment, and it's very funny. It's not really that good. The problem with it is that in solo it's not really that useful, kind of how it was in Black Ops 2. I mean, it does have a good feature in solo, but Tombstone is basically useless if you have self-revive. There is literally no point in getting Tombstone if you have self-revive. Now, yes, of course, you know, Tombstone, as like, you could buy it constantly as points, and self-revives you can constantly buy, but they do cost 250 salvage, which is a lot on earlier rounds. Once you get like past like round 30, that kind of starts to become like the norm. You kind of usually have that much salvage. You get that much salvage like, you know, like after, you know, start stocking up and stuff like that, after you stop upgrading your gun and stuff like that. But I still think that it just doesn't feel useful when with self-revive. And this also like brings like backs up my point here, because when you do revive yourself, because if you don't know how Tombstone works, basically you get sent into the Dark Aether and you have to go revive yourself and stuff like that. But the zombies can still attack you, and you are timed depending on how much upgrades you have. If you don't have any upgrades, it's 30 seconds. If you do upgrade it, it's 60 seconds. And yeah, and if you have the base version of Tombstone without any upgrades, it is terrible. You don't heal yourself, and you also don't drop a Tombstone when you die in co-op, and stuff like that. And if you die while in the Dark Aether mode-ish kind of with Tombstone activated, you die completely. Your game is over. Unless you're in co-op, then you just die normally. But it feels pretty much useless sometimes in solo, but yeah. And also, you don't get revived with all your perks. That was a really cool thing about Who's Who in Die Rise, which, I mean, no one really plays Die Rise, but when you got revived, you actually had all your perks. So it was pretty helpful, except for Who's Who. But, you know, I just don't know. I just thought that was kind of like a bad thing in my opinion. Kind of a missed opportunity, since it is kind of hard to revive yourself on high rounds. But yeah. And now my last con here is that I feel like there's a little bit too many bosses that spawn. There's a lot of Manglers and there's a lot of Mimics that spawn, which I understand makes the map a little bit more difficult. but I'm kind of scared that it's gonna get as bad as Black Ops 4, where there's literally like a million different zombies that spawn in. Like not just like regular zombies, but like different types of zombies. You know, we already have the regular zombie, and then we have like an armored zombie. We have the hellhound now, and then we have the mimic, and then we have the mangler. We have 5 different types of zombies that spawn in once you start getting into the higher rounds. And that could be a little bit annoying, and so I'm really hoping that that's the most we're ever gonna have, like nothing more than just like 3 or 4 other types of zombies. Because if we do, it's gonna not be that fun. Like FIREBASE Z, it's a little bit hard to play sometimes, because I feel like if they didn't have like maybe like the mimic or something, well actually if they didn't have like the mangler, if they just had the mimic and the hellhound and stuff like that, it wouldn't be that bad. But you know, I feel like it's a lot of bosses that spawn that can kind of make the game a little bit annoying and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did and are excited for more FIREBASE Z content and zombies content, then be sure to leave a like as well as comment and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.